get started. Welcome everyone. On behalf of the cmBuilder team, I'm happy. I'm the co-founder here at cmBuilder, and very excited to have our CM event. CM everything over here. We got a product update and customer spotlight event. Should be a lot of fun. I'm sure some people will trickle in over the next little while, but the agenda is going to be, we'll introduce the panelists. Each of the teams are going to go 8 to 10 minutes, or maybe a bit more, right, Drew? Talking shop. So we're getting this. The goal here is to talk shop. You know, we're showing the product and its use, but of course, I'm talking about construction challenges, the types of things that we all face each and every day, and some solutions and new ideas of how to tackle old problems. I will take about another 8 to 10 minutes myself, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the kind of future vision of the platform, where we're going in the next steps, and have some exciting things to show. And then we're going to do like formal Q&A at the end. So just for everyone that's online, if you have a question, you can pop it in the chat, or you can throw it in the Q&A section, and Pedro will be kind of triaging that throughout the day. So if it's something that flows, we might just interrupt someone and ask the question. If not, we have about 10-15 minutes at the end to go through questions for the panelists or for myself, and we can go from there. So quick introductions. So first things first, we're going to introduce Mike Bogdash. Mike is pre-construction field manager at Landmark Properties. Has, should I say it, Mike? Should I say it? Over 30 years? Are we going over 30 years construction experience? Hey, you look young to me. But I know Mike's got an incredible, Google him. He's got an incredible background. He's built big projects all around the world. I think I'm a football guy, so Viking Stadium is one of them, right, Mike? You're heavily involved in that project. Pretty amazing project with Mortensen, I believe. And you know, has a lot of experience, and we're excited to have Mike here. Welcome today.
Thanks.
Next is Julien Bartolo. He's VDC director of VDC over at Davis Construction. Davis is a large-scale builder in the greater DC area. 18 plus years, I believe, with the company, and seen all things from construction to technology, the evolution of BIM. Has lots of interesting insights. So it's great to have you on the panel. Thank you, Julien. JTM Construction, James and Carolyn, up in Seattle, not far from where we are here in Vancouver, Canada. So James and Carolyn both coming up through the field side, surveying side. Of course, surveying is one of the most digitized areas of construction, at least has been, with things like total station and those types of things. Of course, reality capture gets kind of a lot of construction started there, and reality capture surveying, and as now James is leading all construction technology for JTM, and Carolyn is on his team, and so it's great to have James and Carolyn here as well. And then last but not least, we have Drew Rebman, Senior VDC Manager from Hensel Phelps, based out of Hawaii, and also Kyle Tomac, VDC Manager based in SoCal. So Hensel Phelps is one of the largest builders across, nationwide builders in the United States, building all types of projects, airports, wastewater treatment plants, residential projects, you name it. And Drew and Kyle are helping lead their digital technology efforts across those projects and do pretty amazing stuff. And we're very excited and very grateful to have Drew and Kyle on the panel today. Welcome. Okay, we're gonna dive right in. So Drew and Kyle, you're up first. Take it away. Feel free to talk a little bit about some of your project examples that you'd like to show today, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Let me know when you guys can see my screen. All right.
Yep, we got you.
Should be the Hensel Phelps homepage, correct?
Correct. We're good.
Yeah.
Drew, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, I don't know if you guys are familiar with us. We've been around since 1937, building stuff all over the country, and all over the world, really. We don't need to get into this. It's all about cmBuilder, but just something we've been doing for a long time, right? We've been using these tools for a long time, and Kyle's going to get into kind of this transition and how cmBuilder really kind of changed the way we do logistics planning in that early site planning. So go ahead, Kyle.
Yep. Did my Snagit window come up? Just want to make sure it's sharing the appropriate thing.
Nope.
Let me try that again real quick. All right. How about now?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So yeah, like Drew was saying, this is something we've been chasing for a long time. And actually what I'm showing you right here is an internal presentation to my senior group last year saying, hey, we need to do better with site logistics and phasing. And I'm sure some other folks on the call will talk about the traditional way of planning work 2D and then taking it to 3D. And we've been chasing this for a long, long time. And even in my slide here, I said, hey, we have the technology. Why aren't we doing this, right? And I kind of gave a couple screenshots of kind of what we're after, right? A really polished visual of how we're going to go manage and phase that site. Trying to reinforce the fact that we're able to mash together a ton of types of information to display, certain phasing and logistics on a job. Again, this screenshot here, I'm showing the same exact thing, but in 2 different formats. And, really the problem with this this workflow is really hard to scale, really hard to maintain, and get it into our field folks' hands. That's, at the end of the day, that's who needs it. And most of those field people, or superintendents, or field engineers, they can't handle a lot of this heavy resource, right? All of these legacy design tools that we traditionally use to convey this message, right? We're dealing with drone data and Revit content and a bunch of different resources to help build out these 3D environments. And we just had a big problem trying to scale that in a meaningful way. And then, out of nowhere, cmBuilder lands in our lap, and we really latch onto it. So I'm gonna go over here to our project homepage. Drew, is that coming through okay?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. Yeah. So in a very short amount of time, we have really scaled up in cmBuilder. We have 47 active projects. We've already archived 15 of them. And really the benefit of cmBuilder to us is now we have a one-stop shop from cradle to grave, from procurement to closeout for our projects. So you can see on the screen here, we have jobs that are, in a planning phase. We have jobs that we're bidding right now, and then we obviously have jobs that we're in the middle of construction, and we're helping manage the logistics using this platform here. So it really gives us that consistency from the procurement team all the way to closing out that job. And if these jobs that we're bidding, we're able to just duplicate that scenario really quick, and then we're not duplicating any efforts, for a lack of a better term. So we're able to take all that work that was put into procurement time and roll it right into construction, where in past efforts we've seen a lot of duplicate efforts, a lot of restarting the whole phasing and logistics process over the duration of these jobs. And sometimes these jobs last anywhere from 2 to 10 years. So this is great for us just from a consistency standpoint. And then kind of the next thing we want to talk about is just the scenarios in there. So Drew?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's well, I got a bad echo.
Maybe
You guys do that, or should I just keep going through it?
You're good.
keep going, yeah. But there's a bit of an echo. Could be us, maybe a won't.
Okay, so where cmBuilder really kind of took off, right, is it became out of VDC's hands, and we're right into the field. And it's a field tool. It's a superintendent tool to go kind of plan some of that site logistics planning. Here we see a project that's got a whole litany of scenarios, and so you've got 2 different game plans that we kind of run through with cmBuilder. Whether you have a master scenario and all the superintendents are working in this one master scenario, when we're talking mobile cranes, AT cranes, crawler cranes, when you're trying to plan it on a large job site, moving it across 50 acres, who's going to be using crane at any given particular time? We can go run that through in an individual scenario, or we can go duplicate that scenario out and go do smaller scale studies and figure out how we can go and sequence work a little bit differently, how we can go change the logistics of a site, and experiment in those offshoot scenarios. So you have that ability to do this master site planning with all the superintendents all digging into one scenario and making sure that they're coordinating with each other well, right? Or you can go off and kind of do your own little studies and figure out what's going to go change your sequence a little bit, what's going to make you more efficient. We all know we got to build faster because everyone wants us to build faster. So, and safer, right? So when we're talking logistics, safety is a huge piece to that. So if we're digging into that and doing these little studies and these little offshoots, it can be really powerful. Yeah, so this is one. Next thing we kind of wanted to talk about a little bit was getting into the 2D and the transition from 2D into 3D, and how cmBuilder just made that really easy. This is a super simple project. This was launched incredibly fast. This is a temporary hospital that's going to be put in Lahaina. I'm sure you guys all heard about the fire that blew through Lahaina and destroyed much of that community on Maui. And so for Kaiser, we're putting in this small mobile hospital, and we needed to do on a golf course. Actually, there's the golf course. So this hospital's going in on the golf course. And so what we're able to do with that 2D is really quickly go blast it out in 2D, and then we can quickly go digitize it, and then also then work on it in 3D, and now get into some of those milestone creation and working through the site as well. So this was done in an hour, right? And so that's where this just blows up any of that legacy software we were using when we were digging into InfraWorks and then combining in SketchUp and then combining in Revit and all of these tools that we had to go combine together to get to this one set. We're able to go blast this out in no time, right? And that's kind of where it just went viral within Hensel Phelps, because it's so fast and it's so user friendly. Yep, you're muted, Kyle.
Oh, sorry, I guess I got muted. That's a great segue into my next point. You know, it kind of blew up here at Hensel Phelps, and people are super into using this platform. And one of the big reasons for that is the ability to have custom resources built. The feedback that I've heard from a ton of our superintendents is they've been so impressed with cmBuilder's ability to quickly turn around custom resources. So quickly, just right in this screenshot here, this entire dance floor here, this plywood right here, that was a custom resource that the cmBuilder team turned around in like 2 hours for us. We found that our deck-to-deck height was actually too high for the existing formwork that existed in cmBuilder. That was a quick email to the developers, and they were able to extend that for us. There's probably 20 or 30 more examples from this specific project that the superintendent asked for, and you guys quickly turn it around. So, you know, everything we're talking about is great, but the field staff has told me multiple times that they appreciate the ability to customize formwork, to customize the environment, to, you know, to match exactly, you know, how this project is going to be built, right? So you can see here all the formwork that we have in, all the entourage, the resources we have imported here, the ability to show annotations in real time, have truly our slab layout and our formwork displayed how it's going to be. We're showing the rebar going to be ran long. This is going to be a great communication tool, and really this is all possible because we have all these custom resources at our disposal to help go visualize this work. You know, and as we're building out this platform with custom resources, there's a lot of intelligence and metadata that's built into this platform, right? So with that, we obviously have the ability to go do the QTO, the quantity takeoff export. Drew.
So, I mean, this is huge, especially in bid time, right? That one you were looking at right there, that was all done in bid time. And for us to go do those quick quantity takeoffs and site logistics is huge. When we're talking linear footage of fence, quantity of K-rail or jersey barriers, whatever. You know, when we're on a site, on a large site, you know, and you're planning for 300, 400, 500 K-rail, sitting there putting them out in Revit or drawing them in Bluebeam and counting, it's just it's almost a waste of time, right? So this is kind of that tool that just streamlines all of that quantity takeoff piece. It's extremely helpful. And one thing I wanted to make a point about what Kyle's showing there, and this was all done, this whole scenario right here was all done by a superintendent, right? When he is kind of going through and planning his work, which we've done things like this in the VDC world for so long, and then to come in and see a superintendent come in and blast out this kind of detail and this kind of planning, they have it in their head. We all know that superintendents, they all know what they want to do, but to then go communicate it, this just makes that tool, that communication piece.
Yeah, absolutely. And to take that a step further, to kind of reinforce what Drew's saying, we put you know, it's not just phasing and logistics information in here. You know, this is also, depending on your audience, a good way to display your safety plan as well. So you can see here, we're putting in, you know, certain flaggers for trucks coming in and out. We have, you know, path of travel for the public to go by. So really it goes a little bit above and beyond just being a phasing tool. We're trying to communicate certain things. And one of the things I was very impressed with was the ability to put in no-fly zone here. I thought this was a really cool, unique way to show that, you know, there's a line in the sand of where we're going to be performing our work and where the public is going to be. So that was really a great tool that our superintendent found to use. And then kind of taking a step forward, I kind of briefly showed it a second ago, but I'll hop forward to week 32 here. He's even showing, you know, where we're going to have tie-off points for our people, you know, where we're going to have edge protection on some of these slabs we're going to be pouring. So it's really up to the end user. How much detail do you want to put in here? But we're finding it's a fantastic tool to use for safety too. We're starting to incorporate some of our safety managers into the platform. The one other thing that I really wanted to show here was, you know, on a previous slide, I showed, you know, we pump a lot of information into the platform here. And one of the things early on this site I wanted to highlight is we are utilizing drone data on this site. So when I spun up this cmBuilder project, you can see this is actually the soccer field here. It clearly doesn't do that in real life. So we went and flew that site with a drone. And then after we adjusted the terrain, we have that nice flat field. So over on the cmBuilder side, I got to go into edit mode really quick, sorry. So you can see here, if I go into project, custom terrain, and I go select that terrain, you can see there's all of my drone information that I imported. So we're strictly dealing with the absolute accurate topography on that site, which allows us to plan really effectively, which is a huge deal for us. We want to be as accurate as possible, especially when we're dealing with sites that have a lot of elevation change. We got to put in these temporary ramps and all that good stuff. So very powerful for us. And then last but not least, Drew.
I mean, I think what's so great about it is just to know your audience, right? And to go and be able to communicate to all of the audiences, no matter who it is. Is this an internal communication? Is this a communication to our owners group or to the city or to our trade partners and those kinds of things? So we've got all these share functionality to be able to share different milestones, share the presentation, and just get it out to the people that need it and go simplify those things for the people that need it. I mean, we need to communicate as quickly and as efficiently as possible, and this tool's basically kind of done most of that for us with the logistics planning. It's really all we got.
Yep.
Yeah, that was incredible. I if I could do the praise emoji or whatever, that's fantastic. And I gotta say, shout out and kudos to Hensel, Phelps, and Jen. You can see the culture there of just people diving in and asking questions and reaching out to the team, and a true collaborative kind of environment there, and just inspiring work. Thanks for sharing. That was incredible. Okay, next, move into the Pacific Northwest. James, Carolyn, JTM Construction, you're up next. If you would like to share, I know Pedro and you guys are doing a duet here, or or whatever a 3-person show is. I'm not good at music, but yeah, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks for pulling that up, Pedro. So this was a site that we were potentially pursuing. Again, we've been cmBuilder users, I think since 2019, if I remember correctly, when we adopted. Been working with Pedro Javier since. It's been awesome. A lot of the things we were going to talk about, you guys did a great job covering as far as turnaround on resources, support, and just how feature rich it is. So we'll jump right into it. This was an existing very small building you can see in between these two towers here. We were potentially going to put in a large tower. I believe it was going to be 18 or 19 stories. And we had to figure out how we were going to do it. Obviously, a typical tower crane wouldn't work. There's an alley there, Seattle Public Utilities right behind it. We had to figure out whether it was going to be mobile crane, luffing crane. Are we going to have to use their property? We can't close the alley. So we ran all these different scenarios, just trying to figure out a way that we could potentially make this work for that client, because they wanted to expand their hotel and they own the property. So we tried everything we could think of to try to logistically make this work, whether it was mobile crane, steel structure, just changing anything we could and running different scenarios in here to support. And what we found for us is the project wasn't going to be something we were going to be able to follow through on, but rather than doing this on 2D, on PDFs like we used to do it, you know, you wouldn't have had the depth of what was going on out there. You would have spent a lot of time on site hoping that you're able to hoping you'd be able to figure it out and potentially impacting a schedule and budgets and creating a non-starter. Instead, we were able to put a very light lift into just logistically seeing if we could make it happen. And it just wasn't feasible at this time to do so.
Can I cut you off with one thing, James? It's like I had a mentor tell me once, sometimes the best decision you can make is to not do something, right? So having the data and the value to potentially not do this is quite a compelling story here. So thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely. And then I guess we can jump right into the next project. There's not too much to cover on that one because it didn't go, but this is a project that Carolyn's been working on right downtown Seattle, right next to the freeway. Again, a really fun logistic hurdle. So I'll let her talk to this project.
Seattle's notorious for one-way streets. We have a lot of one-ways right surrounding this project. There's an incorporation of an existing building that's staying and site demolition. Like Kyle mentioned, we use a 2D logistics plan to build our 3D plan, and then we're able to work with our project managers and those who are developing the site and working in the pre-con stage to kind of get an idea of how everything's going to work, where everything's going to go, what we're going to need, what it's going to take. And the visual is really important. Like that is just gripping. It's easier to see something in 3D and see the success of transition from one phase to the next of the project. We already have everything in P6. So that's a scheduling software that we use, and we were able to use P6 to import important milestones relative to this particular project. So the phasing was accurate to date. And Kyle also touched on how they're using this tool from project procurement to closeout. In terms of a 4D logistics plan, I think that's the future. And I think that cmBuilder is working really hard to make that happen, to make it easy. I've been working with some of the developers at CM to try and figure out how do we filter our P6 schedule to make it usable as changes happen, because we're constantly updating our schedule as we know everybody is. You know, our dates for different, our critical path is changing. Our dates for our milestones are changing. And so how do we easily incorporate that into cmBuilder without making it a big lift on project superintendents? So we're trying to make an easy transition for that happening. And I think we've got a lot of really great ideas, including using a filtering tool and repeating, like it sounds like Kyle is using kind of the same project as a mock-up for his next project. I think that's a really great idea. You don't have to do rework. You can use the same general milestones on each project. If you're doing a lot of high rises, if looks like you're doing a school out there, a lot of the key foundational elements, these project plans are similar. So yeah, this was a really fun one to do. We got a lot of input from the project team, and I think the opportunities to do fly-throughs and this can be incredibly valuable to demonstrate our plan for the project.
As well as our estimating team. So being able to pull linear footage of fence, you know, we use Smart Edge, but if we can run fence along the edge of the slabs when need be, we can pull out linear footage. It just makes it quick and easy for our project team, our estimators, to figure out what they're going to need and when they're going to need it. So it just adds a lot of value.
One thing that I would like to touch base on that is that what Carol mentioned about like the interaction with our team to get feedback from you guys. So this is extremely helpful for us because it let us know, like we want to know what you guys want and where we should build in this, like what is the driver for this, right? So like if there's a lack or anything that there's an idea that you have about something that could improve the usage of the software, please let us know, and we are happy to hear about that, because that kind of feedback is what makes us build something that's for you. You know. Cool.
Has anyone on the call ever put in a work ticket with Revit or something like that? It's literally the exact opposite. They actually reply and they get on it and fix it for you. So it's been great. Sorry, bad joke, but yeah, it's been phenomenal as far as, you know, hey, where do things fit? Where can we fit things? Do we need to modify something? It's been a phenomenal tool for that, rather than having a certain type of baker tank show up and it, you know, it doesn't fit, it doesn't work. Having some of those nightmares we've all dealt with and don't want to talk about. Knowing that the crane is going to clear the surrounding buildings if we go out and do, whether it's drone or terrestrial scan or anything like that, bring the data in, we can see what the building heights are, accurately, and we know that the tower crane, hey, we need to add an extra section to this crane, even though we don't need it, we need it for it to fit. So it's a huge value to our project teams. So
cool. Want to jump into the next one?
Yeah. So this is one we just got started on this one, so it hardly has anything added to it. But what you can see in the background is a building. We took our RTC out there. We scanned the site because we just wanted a very accurate representation, and then we modeled to the scan the new refrigerator that they're going to put in. I guess annex building for the refrigerator. And we were able to scan the parking lot, actually get the topography very accurately, bring it all in, and show it in one scenario. Next step will be tearing it apart, phasing it, bringing in the more equipment handling, concrete trucks, forklifts, everything else. But this is a smaller scale tenant improvement job. And we're working on doing that for more interior tenant improvement work, is integrating cmBuilder into that because it still provides value for everyone that's working on the site. Not as big of a lift of taking an entire city block or an entire stadium or airport like some of the other scaled jobs, but it still provides context for the people that are doing delivery and need to store material, stage equipment, things like that. Can we get stuff out on site earlier? Can we stack some work? Can we stack material so it's just ready? Any way to support the project team to build quicker because of the constraints of schedules we're on or the amount of work we have to do. We want to get that job done, get on to the next one. So.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing. No, the TI, I mean, obviously we'll talk Julien next. I know a lot of what Julien's looking at, or Davis is looking at, is refurbishment of like brownfield developments, right? Converting hotels or office into residential and these types of things. So being able to tell that story for, you know, renewal projects or large scale TI projects is also a very good use case. With that, we'll pass it over to DC. Julien, Davis Construction, take it away.
All right, can you guys hear me? Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, so yes, let me minimize this. So Davis Construction, yes, DC area, a lot of office buildings around town that are currently still vacant. We are sort of, I guess, the new kids on the block here with regards to cmBuilder. I know we just acquired the software not too long ago. Been working in it over the last 4 to 6 weeks or so, but we've made pretty impressive leaps. So we were heavy InfraWorks users, similar to some of the others here. Definitely a lot of capabilities. You kind of trick the software to tell the story. But the problem is, just like everyone else said, you need a license. You're going from Revit, from SketchUp. It takes a lot of resources, pulls us away from other things that we need to work on. One thing we've noticed with regards to cmBuilder.io is, once you get in it, doesn't take very long to get familiar with the software. I remember our first onboarding session, I think Pedro had me sold when he pretty much did, I don't know, a couple hundred linear feet of sheeting and shoring within 5 seconds. Something that was taking us, hours at times from SketchUp exporting to FBX to go into InfraWorks. So those are the cost savings on our end, the time savings and the cost savings. And then the ability that, we can now, we've always struggled, similar to others, again, with regards to putting this information in everyone's hands. We have, hundreds of projects going on. Doesn't matter what the dollar value is. There's always logistics involved, safety. So being able to now make this software available to just about everybody, 90% of the corporation, whether we're dealing with folks in operations, pre-construction, estimating, scheduling, safety, field services, scheduling, and a few others. I mean, it's nice that everyone is able to pretty much have access to the software. I love the little comment feature up here on the right, sort of the live collaboration. We're starting to use that now. But this particular example here that we're looking at on the screen, this is 1776 K Street, downtown DC. It's an existing office space that's been pretty much empty as a result of COVID, and they're now converting it into a Hilton hotel. So we had about a week's worth of time to work on this project. Our teams were still doing the traditional, oops, let me see if I can, it seems Teams doesn't like me sharing the screen. Can you guys see the PDF by chance? This one. So
Yeah, we did
they were still
see that.
they were still doing the traditional PDF content. And what I love about this example is that everything that we see in this PDF, my group would typically be the group to assist with and putting all this together in InfoWorks or SketchUp, whatever the case may be. Everything that we see here, it doesn't include any sort of excavation or complicated, site logistics planning. So this is the kind of stuff now that our superintendents, project engineers, anybody can really kind of get into this and start putting it together. It is a world of difference as a means of communication. We did have an in-person interview last week on this project, and we actually were aware of the project. I'm sure cmBuilder played a role as one of many other parts and pieces that we put together. But it does make it much easier to communicate, not only internally, but also externally. So we've seen huge benefits there. Even something as simple as, having our, whether it's safety or our field services folks be able to just open and look around, or maybe do a takeoff of linear footage of fencing, how many gates, just kind of rolling everything back into our costs and our estimates, right? I mean, some of these components, you're talking months, years, sometimes that some of these site logistics components stay on site. So it is important to get some good quantity takeoffs and whatnot. So we're pretty much making the software available to just about everybody. It doesn't matter if it's project engineer, project manager, executives, vice presidents. We're pretty much doing some internal training of our own. We've seen a great influx of interest. I think within the next 4 to 6 months, it'll be a totally different landscape for us with regards to cmBuilder. This was actually my very first, if you guys can see it, it's the Periton project here. Excuse me. This was the very first one that I actually pushed through cmBuilder. So I had very little experience, and I think I had less than a week's time to work on this. So we were still doing, some of the more basic sort of storytelling. But the interesting thing here is that, I kind of pushed through it, came up with some very basic parts and pieces that we needed to communicate. And I made an agreement with the team, since they were the first to request it, I asked that they would actually use the hyperlinking and QR code benefit so that they could present a more interactive deliverable with the client, which they did. So they were able to quickly hyperlink cmBuilder.io to the PowerPoint presentation, and having the interactive component available made it so that they could discuss other topics that the owner had interest in, and they were able to navigate around, and a lot of very positive feedback, even though it's not that flashy. It basically helped us communicate our intentions and what we were planning on doing. Here's another quick sample. This is just a brand new office building. Believe it or not, we're still building some office buildings for some clients, and a precast parking garage. One of the interesting things we've noticed, we've definitely started working on some of the excavation and the phased storytelling. But a lot of these simpler projects, even though these buildings are new and we haven't really showed the actual phasing happening since we're still new and working with the software, we find that a lot of our folks are very appreciative and can use this information so everybody gets some sort of different benefit. Even though we're not telling the story, they can still use this to communicate, to look around, study, come up with other plans. So it's been very, we've had some very good input, very good feedback on the few who have sort of gotten a chance to play around with it. We're putting folks through a training session now, but ultimately it's, like I said, it allows us to do better planning, better communication, better collaboration, including with all our trade partners and owners and clients. So I see a lot of great potential here with the software. And same thing, I'll say the same thing. So Javier and his team have been instrumental and very supportive with all the onboarding sessions as needed, when needed. The first thing we actually pushed through was our own custom Davis sign logo as a test, but here it is. But very quick turnaround times, and we're currently working on point clouds and scan data, that kind of thing now. So we're looking into that next. So I'm happy to see that some of these other individuals and organizations have been successful with that, because that's kind of where we're headed with this. We'll take it to the max. That's about it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Julien. And part of why I set up the panel the way we did is because we have a couple new-ish customers that just take it and run with it to show that idea of like how you can adopt this pretty quickly with the organization. It's pretty inspiring to see how much you guys have grown so quickly. And then we have some OGs, you know, both Mike and James and Carolyn we worked with for multiple years and have evolved with us as the platform's gotten better. Okay, well, thank you very much. So Mike, last but not least of the panelists, I would love for you to share a little bit of that field experience. And Mike has warned us that there may be a few F-bombs dropped in his presentation. We'll keep it clean. We'll keep it clean. But
thanks, I appreciate that.
Take it away. I'd love to hear your lens about how you look at planning projects, given your experience.
Absolutely. As they pointed to, I work for Landmark Properties, and we're based out of Athens, Georgia, and we're the largest developer, builder, and end user of student housing in the country. We've been in existence since 2004 and have grown exponentially. But as a developer, you know, we look at things a lot different. A lot of you guys are presenting to us. Well, we're the developer now presenting to ourselves to see if we can physically build something in a site. And you know how developers are. They give you the lousiest site there is. There's no difference when you own your own property. We get the same thing. Very tight constraint projects. This particular one here that Pedro's flying around, this is in Syracuse, and this is basically an existing temple that's on the National Historical Records, built in 1910, and the adjacent buildings are all part of the temple. And this is one that right now we just got into CD documents, and we are vehemently getting through the pricing on this. As everyone knows, pricing is through the roof. But the big thing that I've found with the cmBuilder, you know, is as a superintendent, I don't need it to give it to no BIM guy, right? I don't need to give him something and it comes back and you're arguing with him. Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? So it's very user friendly, I will say. If I can learn it, I think anybody can. But no, I'm extremely happy that everyone has said that the field superintendents are using it, because, you know, when I started, CAD files were 2D and we used light lamps to do overlays. So, you know, going into this with the 3D is awesome. So this particular site that we're going through, we're still going in, doing scanning, doing exploratory demolition of how the existing buildings were attached to the temple, since we got to save the temple. But, you know, working through the whole thing, we got supportive excavation around the site. We have various grades from the neighboring properties that slope down on our property. And there's a lot going on here. We have 2 architects involved, one for the temple and one for the new building. So do the 2 talk to one another? Nah, that doesn't happen. We all know how that works, right? So we're the mediator because we're the developer. So we got to clash heads with them and say, y'all need to do your damn job. So we're slowly getting out of this one. This is a 7-story concrete podium to the 3rd floor PT, and the rest is wood framing. So the challenge obviously is where to put the tower crane. Then you have the neighbors who won't buy in with the easements for the tower crane. So you got to show them what's happening. And I like the feature that you guys said about the no-fly zone. So that's nice to be able to have that, to identify that. And I got to add that. I wasn't aware of it. So see, you know, old dog learned something on this call already. But again, the biggest one is the temple, maintaining the temple around the site, you know, being able to close roads, share that information with the civil engineer saying, this is what we want to do. Can we do it? They come back showing existing utilities, you know, and then showing your crane, the assembly of the crane and the removal. It's easy to do. I work in conjunction with our BIM VDC, Jason Baella, and he's the one that does all the modeling, drops it all in. But, you know, we work in unison with one another on this. So it's very, very user friendly. So if you got that old grumpy superintendent man, once he sees how to do this, I'm telling you, you probably won't be able to get him off this hardware or software. That's for sure. So, like I said, this is in the DD or CD development project right now, 65%. We got out for bid. So, very, very interesting and challenging project for sure. What's the next one you got, Pedro?
Got the Berkeley Walgreens.
Berkeley Walgreens. Interesting. Nice place to visit. How about that? So this project, again, we're the developer, and this is an existing Walgreens that we purchased. And as we start to dive into it, and it's like, we really have opportunities here, don't we, fellas? So the building to the right of this has a shared party wall. So this building was built back in 1911, and the shared party wall is between that building and the Walgreens that no one was 100%. They knew it was there, but they didn't know anything else about it. So we had to get in there, do some exploratory demolition, get some additional information, some scanning of that to figure out what is exactly going on there. And this new building that we're putting in here is also surrounded by the BART subway on Shattuck Avenue. And then on Alston Way, that Shattuck Hotel was built in 1910. So if you haven't built on the West Coast, California, everything is seismic related. Lots of building monitoring, lots of all kinds of things. You need a permit to cross the street, it seems like. But the biggest challenge that we have is we have a water table, and because of the BART metro station being there, we cannot lower the water table by more than 2 foot. So the 2 foot fluctuation can't occur. So that put us into doing what they call the CSM method for supportive excavation, cutter soil mixing, and then everything sits on caissons. And then obviously the challenge is picking out a location for the tower crane, because there's no way in hell we're going to be able to use Shattuck for any kind of closures. So we picked the tower crane location on this particular project because it goes through a stacked single unit apartment. So instead of messing up a lot of apartments, trying to get them all done at the end, it's a single unit top to bottom where we can close the street on Austin Way. So again, this project here, we're in the huge VD, obviously, or huge value engineering on this, as prices skyrocketed and building out there is just crazy high. But this is 26 stories, cast in place PT deck. We're 280 feet above ground. And the other challenge in the basement on this is it had a 270,000 gallon underground fire water tank. So of course the crane goes right through that as well, but it's really the only place we can get it in there because we have a 5 elevator bank core in the center. So that's how we wound up picking the location that we had for the tower crane. So again, being able to visualize this, you know, old school, putting on drawing and not really understanding how it all comes together, but being able to put things in places, moving them around, swapping them out, swapping one crane for another tower crane is pretty awesome in the software and the package. And even the other day, I learned how to do some editing in without redrawing something. So, you know, as I told Javier, if you ain't learning something every day, you're not doing your job. So yeah,
there's a question for you in the chat over here, Mike.
Already?
Yeah, question for you. When you are the owner of your own cmBuilder model, and then you bring in a CM on board to build your project, do you hand off your model to that general, or do you own it through construction?
We do our own GC building. So we're the developer, we're the builder. So we build everything. Now we have gone third party, and yes, we shared with the third party. So there are some instances when we go into an area like we did a project here in Berkeley, and we had a third party do it to get the lay of the land and understand the permitting process. because that's where the big make or break is how long is it going to take you to get your permits through the agency so that you can get a shovel in the ground and to understand that sequence. You can have all the expediters in the world, but you know, if there ain't somebody nailing the expediter, you're still not getting it.
Cool.
If you ain't
All right.
growing, you're dying. As you say, if you ain't growing, you're dying. Okay, thank you so much. That's awesome, Mike. Excellent stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few minutes and I'm going to show some things about where we're trying to go with the platform. Hopefully, you know, pontificate about the future slightly. So Pedro, I'm going to take this back. I'm going to share my screen, see how this goes. Okay, so yeah, essentially you saw some examples today of outputs, which is really exciting. The goal of cmBuilder is to democratize digital delivery, right? So you have BIM VDC folks that are typically at the tip of the spear and adopting new technologies first. You have tech-enabled superintendents like Mike who want to get on the tools and they have all this stuff in their head and let me just do it myself, right? You have a lot of those folks out there. Then we're trying to build technology and workflow improvements that make it easier to plan, visualize, tell stories, and communicate, win more work and build more efficiently, build safer, faster, all that kind of good stuff, right? So cmBuilder, that's the mission, right? It's like, how do we make it much easier, much faster, much more accessible for the digital delivery process? So I'm going to talk about a few things today. I'm going to talk about some goals for the future. We're really passionate about this idea of storytelling, right? So complex projects, you have, you know, in pursuit through to different stakeholders, you're just basically telling stories, right? How you build things. So as of right now, when you're in cmBuilder, as you can see here, if you're doing a you know, presentation mode, right? So you've got all your milestones, your hide shows, animations, whatever you've done. What you're going to do when you go to share this, or sorry, you share this as a link, right? You can share a link that can, with milestone mode, you can just share it to your stakeholders and they can open this. What it's going to open up is in presentation mode. In presentation mode, for that user, for your architect or your client, it's going to have a play button and it's going to run through automatically all your your milestones, and the simulation get played automatically. So right now I'm not controlling anything. This is all happening in the browser. You're basically visualizing my browser and the simulation happening here. So one feedback we got is that, you know, this modal up here, it's kind of small. It's not easy to tell the story. Okay, I'm on milestone 14, but how much more is there to go, right? Where am I in the lifespan of this project, right? So this is a shared, you know, presentation mode view. Coming very soon, like hopefully next week, kind of soon. Oh, geez, every time. Soon you're going to have this timeline bar at the bottom. So as you can see, when you'll have the ability to just have like a big call out here that you can customize, and then you'll see the timeline bar going through all the way through from dates through to like basically like start and finish, and every milestone you'll be able to toggle back and forth, and you have that mental model of like start, finish, and where am I at in this job, right? So am I, you know, where am I? Okay, I'm doing levels of form work and executing that way, right? So the way that's going to work is that you'll have a little user interface when you're setting up your presentation mode where you can define the colors, and we're going to, as part of our company brand, you'll be able to throw your logos in this, right? So there'll be no post editing needed at all, hopefully, when you're submitting something as a video, let's say for a client. You just be able to pop your logos in there, color it, brand it, and you send it away. And just really makes a much better end experience for telling that story of how you plan to attack the job. That new timeline tech that we're building was quite of a challenge to build the technology around that. It also allows us to make some things like this a little easier. Right now, you can't animate resources inside cmBuilder. We have a visual programming interface. We have some templates. It's not the easiest to use, right? We're trying to make everything faster, easier, more accessible. So that slider will help us build a proper animator, and we hope to launch that soon as well. Next thing I'm going to do, Revit. So people have talked to us a lot about the ability to just take, you know, why do I have to take IFC, intermediate file format? Why do I have to take FBX, intermediary step, etc.? Soon, I'll show you a little demo here. I'm going to grab a Revit file. Can't see this, but trust me, it's a Revit structure. I'm just going to drag and drop this in here, and there's no need to convert out of Revit. Revit's by far the most commonly used source file of our platform. In our platform, this is just a small little platform thing. It's just a small little model here. So I'm going to just drag and drop, convert this Revit file natively. So there's no need to go from Revit to IFC, or depending on how you want to do it, Revit to Navisworks to FBX, all those steps, just boom, drag and drop the Revit file in here. This should take only a few seconds here. And once it converts, it'll show up live. Okay, there you go. I just got an email saying your model's been converted and it's ready to be used. All right, so there it is over there. So there you go. It's just a simple little model here, a little foundation model, but this element is just coming straight from Revit, right? So this is just one, this is on the theme of faster and easier to do work, right? Just faster and easier to do work. That's our goal, and part of that is investment in the platform, in the engine, right? In the engine of being able to say, hey, how do I load data faster? How do I bring in information easier? How do I make it more accessible in the browser? That's the biggest part of our tech. Faster and easier to work is synchronous and asynchronous collaboration. We talked about, actually Julien talked about commenting, multiplayer mode. So right now, my colleagues here are all in the same scenario. So if I want to follow, say, Ishu, move around, man. There you go. I can follow Ishu's camera. So there's 4 of us in the same scenario at the same time, and we can collaborate around the model, handle logistics challenges, follow each other's cameras, drop in commenting if needed, right? I can just tag people and say and tag and like anyone in here. So like the collaboration piece of saying, hey, at Ishu, do we need this or whatever, right? So the idea of like a site superintendent and a project coordinator all collaborating in the browser in real time was really nice. So faster and easier to do work, get to an outcome faster, right? That's our goal. Yeah, textured mesh. So we have some workflows to improve the surrounding buildings. Right now, there's some importing you have to do. We're passionate about trying to make this more automated for you. So we're looking at different options, and we can do improvements so that when you load the scenario automatically, you can just load a higher resolution surrounding building mesh, as opposed to those massings that James, who we've been working with at JTM for a long time, he said, he used to tell us it's a bit cartoony, the mesh, which is, the massings, it's not the best, but it's a good starting point really to understand the geometry of the surrounding buildings, but a bit cartoony. So we're trying to get more into this, right, which is a bit more easy for people to understand if you're going to a stakeholder and showing their project in context with the surrounding meshes and everything looking good. Next thing is strategically, we want to, so what I got faster to do work, storytelling, so better storytelling, faster and easier to do work, more accessible from the browser, collaborative, real time. And then we want to really nail this project planning piece, right? This construction simulation piece, and go very deep vertically, right? We intend to like nail all this. So there's estimating capabilities, there's other things we can do, but we want to horizontally integrate as much as possible, right? So we want to reduce friction of your workflows. So if you've got ACC link, like this is a visualization of the ACC integration as of right now. When we ship Revit, it's going to be even better. So being able to automatically link and sync models once you've connected your cmBuilder with ACC, right? Same thing for Procore. The visual, the whole idea of the embedded experience within Procore. You have superintendents that are going in Procore all day long. They can just run cmBuilder directly from Procore, our embedded experience. Both on the ACC and Procore sides, we have plans to add more features and functionality in terms of connecting more of those things through our integration, right? So things like drawings and stuff like that, schedule perhaps. Just listening to users saying, hey, what is it? How can we make it faster and easier to do work with going horizontal in our integrations? That also means reality capture workflows. I know James and Carolyn do a lot of amazing stuff in terms of reality capture. And right now you can get it into cmBuilder and author on top of it. It's nice. How do we make it faster, right? How do we integrate with some of the drone or 3D mesh providers? And those are discussions we're already having, and we intend to launch those into the product as well. So that's it. Basically, I just wanted to say, our passion is to make it fastest, super fast, super easy to simulate any project with complexity, excavation, shoring, crane location, hoist location, run scenarios, optioneering, collaborate with teams across the platform, and then just listening to you and rapid iteration of improving the product. Every week, we're trying to release and get better and get better and get better. So I will stop there, and I will stop sharing, and I will open it up to questions for everyone. So let's go here. I'm gonna do, well then, okay, question from our panelists. There you go, Kyle. Yeah, let's go. I'm not sure, Pedro, if you're working it, but first from Leah, when do we have estimate on the Revit feature? My co-founder there has already said plans in the next 30 days to have the Revit feature available. So RVT. Will the new Revit feature be able to read project phasing within the Revit file? I don't know, Kyle.
I
I
believe
mean,
this is not going to be available in the
Yeah.
first version of the integration, but it's something that we plan to add later, right?
but yeah, but you'll still be able to traverse the tree, right,
Yeah.
of the Revit file and be able to link parts from the Revit file into there.
Mhm.
Okay. Is there any other
I think there is
Q&A?
one question from Tucker Jacobs over here. So I
Okay.
think it was for Mike. Can you get the one?
I couldn't find it though.
Oh, he put it right after you asked for.
Oh, my bad. So let me see here. Where is Mike? Okay, sorry, I'm catching up now because I was. The question is, Mike, do you put the model together during pre-construction, early development phase process when going through entitlement and permitting? Or do you rely on the architect engineer to put the model together, or is it done in-house based on drawings? That's from Mike Bogdash.
So typically, we get involved in the DD process as far as our pre-con department's concerned. And we have milestones with the architect that we get a model off of them by 30% CDs. So once we get that, then we drop the model into what we've created in cmBuilder.
Okay, nice. There was a question too, for anyone missed it, Ben asked about the ability to have generic milestones, and Pedro already answered. One thing I'll say, it is linked to dates, but yeah, you'll be able to, when you go to share. So one use case that comes up, there's a lot of GCs on this call, you may have a schedule and you may be in pursuit and you haven't agreed on dates. So you may not want to show the owner any dates. So right before you create that final link, you can actually click to hide the dates. But yeah, we do have a logic of reading of a timeline linked to dates or milestones, right?
We have another question on the QA. Is there a way to edit the mesh in cmBuilder, for example, to cut out for excavations?
Not yet is the answer. We call that split mesh. Highly, I was gonna add that in my slides, but I didn't have that much time. So right now you have to already have had the model split or like pour break split when you import to cmBuilder, then you can sequence it from there. Coming very soon as you'll be able to split the mesh inside cmBuilder. We've done some demos in our testing environment. The use case would be like pour breaks, meshes of a vertical shaft for the concrete, a concrete shaft for elevator cores, splitting an imported drone scan or something, and just saying cut this part out because that's where I want to put my building, but I want everything else. We had to first ship the ability to remove elements from the model first, which we have. Now you can remove and delete elements from an imported model. That was the first thing we needed to do to be able to do the split mesh, and that's coming after.
Yes.
Do you need to have everything geolocated or just manually move items? So you have the choice. So if your IFC file, or I guess it's a question for Nick and our development team, I'm not sure how if the Revit attributes are carrying geolocation, but we have like your local coordinate system. So if you are using a local coordinate system for geolocation and your IFC model has that, you can position based on that. Or if you don't have to, because you can place one, so you have multiple models, you can place one at the desired location and snap all the rest of them to that first model that assuming it has the same base point. So
we also have a recent update on that related to the custom terrain tool, because you can import a point cloud coming from like drone scans, like Propeller, like Pix4D or Drone Deploy. And these softwares, they will export the point cloud in several different georeferencing systems. Before we could only do that with WGS 84, but now we can do that in any georeferencing system. So like that's something that Kyle asked for with the Propeller export, right? Because Propeller can export both on WGS 84, right? In other systems, but the WGS 84 one has less resolution. So you can now do it with both.
Yes, and there's a question about exporting a video. So like if you don't have to share the link. In fact, sometimes people don't want to for whatever reason. You want to just make a static file. So you can just export in the top right in the share high res to like imagery or a video or that QTO for the kind of general requirements costs. Are you able to import specific crane families and concrete trucks? You can import your own data, but again, it's not going to be instanced and optimized for the browser. So what we would suggest is just request it and we'll put it in the LAT catalog for you. And we would link it to the manufacturer's spec sheet. So like when Drew and Kyle were showing some of those concrete pump trucks and stuff, like those are the actual concrete pump trucks to scale, boom parameters, pump parameters. And we do it this way, so it's optimized for the browser. You can bring in your own data. It's going to be like a dumb solid, right? So unless it's truly proprietary, which we don't come across too much, we suggest just having the like Liebherr crane, and then you customize it with your colors and branding and stuff like that from there. We are missing a library for temporary enclosure weather protection. We have a lot of stuff around slab edge or weather protection. Like you're talking about tarps. I'm guessing they're asking about tarps for cold weather building. I'm pretty sure we have that already. If we don't, we can throw that in the catalog for you. Okay, I know we're over. Okay, last question. Have we used it for claim management or delay analysis? I don't know if any customers have ever used that. We've had some people talk about this, and I think generally like the idea of digital thread, like having data and documenting decisions and having a simulation of what as built, as designed, and all that kind of stuff is a whole world that I don't know that much about, but I know that's important, and I could see how something like this, some sort of digital simulation, could aid and assist some of those types of discussions. Okay. I think we're over time already. I wanted to say on behalf of the amazing panelists, thank you so much for doing this. Thanks for everyone for joining. Kyle, Mike, Drew, Julien, James, Carolyn, of course you too, Pedro. Thank you so much. We did, just want to say thank you so much for taking the time. It's an amazing community here of construction geeks. We're proud to be part of it. And we'll just hang on for a few minutes while people trickle up, but we'll stop the webinar there. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.